Hey everybody, it's Gerwyn from ProjectLine. Today we're going to take a look at consolidated financial reports in NetSuite and some of the useful tools to help us get that data. If you're a multinational company with subsidiaries across the globe, it's absolutely imperative that you have access to key financial data across all your companies at any given time. As you can see, I'm logged in as our CFO, Dinah Lee, and our experience literally begins with our dashboards. On the top left over here, I can see I've got a KPI meter showing I've got 129 million in revenue, 26.3 million in receivables, and 27.5 million in expenses. In the middle of my screen, I have some comparison reports for my sales, expenses, revenues, receivables, payables, even my total bank balance, comparing my current numbers versus a previous period. On the bottom right here, this is where I want to draw your attention. This subsidiary Navigator tool is extremely powerful. For example, as you can see, I've got a Canadian sub, a US sub, another US sub, and even an elimination company rolled up into my parent. When I click on the Canadian company, for example, check out the numbers on my screen. They're all going to change to reflect the numbers in my Canadian company. So now I can see I've got 15.9 million in Canada, 3.2 million in receivables for Canada, and 10.4 million in expenses for Canada. I can easily get my US numbers just by clicking on my US sub. So at the end of the day, what I want you to take home here is that NetSuite makes it extremely easy to get your financial data. Why? Because all of your data lives and breathes underneath one roof. So that makes it extremely easy for reporting. It makes it extremely easy for transacting. It even makes your implementation easier because you don't have to log into separate companies for your financial data and then run some customer reports. NetSuite just gives you all of this right out of the box. To further illustrate this, let's take a look at an income statement. As you can see here, I've got a consolidated financial income statement here, but if I want, I can break this down by subsidiary, and now I can get a side-by-side comparison of my company performance across all my different subs. As you can see here, total sales for Canada are 11 million, 117 million for one company in the US, and 1.2 million for another company in the US. I can even drill down into that maybe Canadian balance of 11 million, and I can get a breakdown of what makes up that 11 million. So now I can see all of my invoices, my credit notes, my journal entries that make up that $11 million. On the bottom right here, I can even type in the name of a customer like DMC, and the system will highlight all of the invoices for DMC, which makes it easy to find. And if I want, I can click on the next transaction easily and find the next DMC invoice, and so on and so on. But as you can see, DMC has got some pretty big invoices here. Here's one for 1.1 million. Well, what's that about? Let me drill into it. I can bring up that invoice on my screen, and I can see the particulars. So for example, we sold them a pretty expensive pump at $540,000 at a quantity of 3. So the idea here is drilling, getting that information is really easy, and it's so simple to navigate in NetSuite. When we come back to our income statement here, I can export this to PDF or to Excel. I can even have it emailed to key people in my company, maybe even my board of directors. If I export this to Excel, it's not just a static data dump. NetSuite is actually exporting all the dynamic links. So as you can see here, it's bringing over the formulas from NetSuite into Excel, which makes it really convenient, especially if I want to do some further slicing and dicing, like create a pivot table in Excel. When we come back to NetSuite and we run a balance sheet, so remember, this is a multinational company with multiple subsidiaries, so there might be some intercompany transactions between the companies. Well, I can easily bring up those intercompany transactions. If I look, for example, in my Canadian company under intercompany receivables, I can see a balance of $47,000. I can drill into that, and I can see, oh yeah, there is some invoices and journal entries that make up that $47,000. And again, I can open up that journal entry to get the particulars, and I can see, yep, there is some miscellaneous expenses that were transacted against my US company and Canadian company, for example. They're even flagged for elimination, so when I do my period end closing, I can post them to my elimination company. So the idea here is that NetSuite makes it extremely easy to report against any subsidiary at any given time, and you get real-time information too. I hope you found this video intuitive and useful, and hopefully we'll catch you on the next video. Thanks very much.